Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more. Dell.
Wonderful, wonderful game, you think, to wrap up the action from Group 1 in the Super 12s. England have had that defeat that you think you'd want to have, given that record that no one's ever gone on to win the T20 World Cup, winning 7 games in a row. South Africa, with their heads held high, will bow out of the tournament in perhaps unprecedentedly be a team that picks up 4 wins in the Super 12s and yet doesn't make the semi-finals. Net run rate takes Australia through. So that's what we wrap up today on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell, in the company of Steve Harmison and Tom Moody. It's a game filled with event and incident. Steve, I guess England wouldn't mind being on the rough side of it. South Africa had a good day, but the story has to be about what Jason Roy would feel like overnight.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge blow for England to lose Jason. I don't see him recovering in time for semi-final or final with an injury like that. So a huge blow. And like I was for Tamar Mills, Tamar Mills in the last game, he overcome so much injury, doubt, and got himself back into the England side. I look at Jason Roy from a different way, in the troubles that Jason Roy's had against spin bowling in the power play. I think he's worked so hard to get himself in a position to hit this tournament hard. Help from IPL when he was in there with the Sunrisers just before the tournament started, and to have him missing now, to get the injury that he's got, it's a huge blow for Jason. And what I have to say is a huge blow for England now, because you could see just in that little glimpse of that innings, he wanted to get 20 or 15 balls. Takes the pressure off Butler nicely in that first phase of the power play, and he's going to be difficult to replace for England.
Yeah, I mean, they've only lost by 2 hits at the end of it, Tom, without that one outstanding performance that Butler has given them in the past, or that we saw Van der Dusen and Markram give England. So enough to take away still positively. Enough of their batters have had a bit of a hit, and can they cope without Jason Roy?
Yeah, look, it is a big loss because he's such a valuable player. He's a match winner, but at the end of the day, these unfortunate things happen, and the great teams manage to make the necessary changes within their team. I would imagine the logical thing would be Sam Billings would come into the side, and whenever he's come into the side, whether it be in T20 cricket or other formats of the game, he hasn't disappointed. They're going to have to obviously look at considering maybe Dawood Malan opening the batting, or bringing Bairstow from 4 up to the top of the order with Butler and slotting Billings in the middle there. Not an ideal situation for England, but I don't think it's I don't think it's an absolute disaster. You don't want to lose a high quality player like Roy at any stage, but they've got the bench strength.
Steve, which way would you go? Bairstow, for whatever it's worth, 9, 8 not out, 16 not out, 0 and 1 in these 5 games. He would seem like the natural option to go up, but they've got Moeen Ali, who could come in a bit earlier, David Malan, like Tom said, but Billings in the team, and a few people move out of order for you?
Yeah, maybe he's a little bit outside the box. I'd bring David Willey in. I think Liam Livingstone showed in this innings that he needs to bat a bit more than he has done in this tournament so far. Morgan's got runs in glimpses in this tournament. I think Bairstow could go up to the top with Malan at 3, Morgan at 4, Livingstone 5, or Ali 5, Livingstone 6, with Wokes, Willey and Jordan as 7, 8 and 9. Gives you a left arm option, gives you another seam bowling option, because I think if you brought Billings in, he's probably going to bat 7. How many balls is he going to face at 7? Or 6 or 7 with Moeen Ali or Livingstone batting at 7? Then I think you could get 3 or 4 overs out of a left arm seamer if it's relevant for seam bowlers to bowl in the semi-final knockout stages. So I would go with a bowler and move everybody up the order 1.
Interesting. Very interesting that. But let's talk a little bit about South Africa. England will have the opportunity now. They've marched into a semi-final, and they'll know that when Jason Roy gets injured, they win an ICC event. But the last time it happened, he still had time to come back. So for whatever it's worth, let's hope Roy has a speedy recovery as England become victim to their second injury for this tournament. But South Africa, Tom, I guess your heart goes out to a team that wins 4 out of 5 and still loses out on a semi-final spot. Just thoughts and takeaways from their campaign?
Yeah, look, it's they will feel robbed. There's no question. They haven't done a lot wrong. To win 4 out of 5 is a great achievement, and not to be playing semis is a massive setback. But what it does, it highlights how important every aspect of winning is, and the point I'm making is around net run rate. They'll look back on that game which they won against Bangladesh, but it took them.
Yes.
I think into the 14th over to chase down just over 80 runs. Australia had the same game 4 days later, and they chased down a similar total in the 7th over. And that's the difference between them playing a semi-final and not. And they're not to know at that time that was the situation. But I think what it does is it just sharpens your eye to how important those small inches are when it comes to in a tournament like this is falling into the top 4 or falling out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like they got hammered in that one defeat against Australia. You could say they were just flexing their muscles in that opening game, Steve. And when this group eventually came together with Bangladesh and Sri Lanka coming in, we christened it the group of death and whatnot. By South Africa finishing equal on points with Australia and just missing out on a semi-final spot, have they exceeded expectations for you?
Not really. I think when you look at the way South Africa's side set up, they had a huge blow at the start with what happened with the off-field stuff, and it rocked them a little bit. But like Tom said, it's small margins, and if they had their time again against Bangladesh, it might have gone differently. I think Australia, like Tom said, Australia's seen what happened with South Africa and Bangladesh. And the net run rate. They knew the net run rate was going to be key to qualifying for the semi-final. So, I think South Africa have gone into this tournament with, the bar hasn't been risen as high as what other tournaments have been, with not having the superstars of like Dale Steyn and AB de Villiers in their unit. But I think they've done reasonably well for what squad they've gone over with, and it's something for South African cricket to build on.
So does this team not necessarily need a lot to change, Tom? Of course, Faf du Plessis' omission created a huge stir in the build-up to this tournament, especially with the IPL he had. But could they be a more formidable team or hit the ground running, at least in Australia in a year's time, more than they were in these conditions?
Yeah, I think in Australia they'll be a serious threat, mainly because of their bowling. You look at Rabada and Nokia, two of the quickest bowlers in the world, but not only have they got pace, but they've got a bit of control and class about what they're offering. So they'll be a major threat with their pace attack. And I think, their batting is going to continue to improve. Quinton de Kock is still very much in the prime of his career. He hasn't had a World Cup that he would remember, but they've got others like your Markrams and your Van der Dussens, that are only getting better over the next 12 months. So, South Africa are a team to look out for. There's no question going forward into the next T20 World Cup. And I think the conditions in Australia will probably suit them probably more so than what it has done in this World Cup.
Steve, your thoughts on a review for South Africa? Not a lot that needs changing. Do they need 1 or 2 additions? Seem to have a lot of bases covered, certainly with the options that they have with ball. They've got an all-rounder in Pretorius, one in backup in Mulder. Top order seems to be firing, but hasn't just didn't get that one game right. Anything that they need to change, or are they all right?
Now they're going in. Well, you say about South African cricket, they're going in the right direction, and it just seems that the team that beats South Africa, the politics inside the country, and that's we've seen in this tournament before a ball was bowled, where some things can just derail them a little bit. They are going to get better, and there will be a force in Australia if this group sticks together and goes to Australia. But there's no guarantee of that, and there's no guarantee that politics comes into South Africans cricket, and sort of every time they go one forward, sometimes they go 2 back. So fingers crossed for South African fans that this side can be built on. The one or two that are coming left field that can come in and help make this side stronger and better from South African cricket, from a youngster's point of view, and that bodes well. But you look at the history of, well, not the history, but the last 3 to 5 years of the players that are not playing for South Africa for a varying number of reasons, tells you that the team that beats South Africa more often than not is South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair point. That funny that it was on the day that Quinton de Kock issue came up that they started winning and they won everything since. But you think it did at least come into the tournament with some sort of trouble in the dressing room? Let's leave it there. Temba Bavuma's won himself a lot of admirers with the way he's led and handled his team off the field too. So South Africa future seems rosy bright, at least in terms of the talent they have. England will be in the semi-final. We did expect that. Tom Moody, Stephen Harmison, more from you then very soon on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout powered by Dell. Tom's got a big day tomorrow. He's going to join us for New Zealand, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Scotland, and he's hoping for an early finish, which didn't come his way tonight. And he missed out yesterday when India played Scotland. So I hope Tom gets exactly the sort of Sunday he wants. Steve Harmison's always going to be keen to join us, so we'll look forward to his company again soon. Story from this evening is Group 1 has concluded. England are top of that table. They've been outstanding. They've had that one blip. They'll figure out what to do. Jason Roy and South Africa go out with their heads held high.
Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more, Dell.